Thank you, Jason. You know, it's a pleasure to be with Hobnob today. And I'm going to tell you, I've decided I'm going to tell y'all a story today. It's a story that I believe strongly is worth sharing. Especially because all of you played a major role in this story. It is the story of Mississippi. Today, that story is one of success. And without coincidence, that success is the direct result of many of the people in this room here today. Now, just like in every state in the nation, we've been through our share of difficulties. We've seen good times, and we've seen not so good times. But through it all, we've persevered. Before I became governor, the most federally declared disasters Mississippi had ever had, from 1972 to 2019, the most we'd ever had in 1 year was 4. In my first 14 months in office, we had 14. And only one of those 14 was the global pandemic. Over the years, we have faced hurricanes, tornadoes, flooding, ice storms, and much, much more. But despite each challenge thrown at us, we've emerged stronger, together, as a community. And today, the facts speak for themselves. Our population is growing. Jobs and businesses are moving in to every region of our state. In the 10 years before I became governor, the average number of new announcements in our state, of new capital, was about $900 million a year. In 2022, we announced over $6 billion in new private capital and new businesses starting here in our state. This, of course, includes the largest economic development project in state history, a $2.5 billion CapEx that will create 1,000 new jobs, paying an average of almost $100,000 a year in our Golden Triangle. Our unemployment in Mississippi is the lowest it's ever been. Our economy is growing stronger every single day. In the old days, we used to have a lot of people out looking for jobs. But those of you in this room can attest, we don't have a lot of people out looking for jobs today. We got a lot of jobs out looking for people. And in fact, it's why since 2019, and I told you this in my very first inaugural address, if you only judge my efforts on one economic stat, look at per capita income. It's the reason that in the last 4 years, per capita incomes in our state are up almost $9,000 a year per person, from $36,000 a year for the average Mississippian to almost $45,000 a year, which is up almost 30% in just that short time frame. As Lieutenant Governor Hoseman just mentioned, our fiscally responsible approach to managing the state's finances means that we're in the best financial shape we've ever been in. We're in the best fiscal shape we've ever been in. It allowed me to propose and ultimately pass the largest tax cut in state history in 2016, only to be outdone with another tax cut in 2021, allowing us to provide over $1.1 billion in tax relief to the people of this great state. The fact is, Mississippi is headed in the right direction. This is Mississippi's time. But our successes are not just in economic development. We've seen record success in the classroom. In each of the last 3 years, Mississippi's been number 1 in the nation in 10-year growth numbers on 4th grade reading. If you go back to 10 years ago, and by the way, this didn't just happen. It's because conservative policies work. We enacted conservative reforms, which I've told you about many times before, in the 2012 and 2013 sessions. And those conservative reforms have led to what even the New York Times has called the Mississippi Miracle. I gotta admit, I almost choked on my catfish when I read that the New York Times wrote something good about Mississippi. But consider these numbers. 10 years ago in 4th grade reading, our 4th graders were 49th best. Last year, our 4th graders were 21st best in the nation. In 4th grade math, 10 years ago, we were 50th best. Last year, our 4th graders scored 23rd best in the nation. If you look at high school graduation rates, 10 years ago, only 72.5% of our kids were graduating high school. Last year, that number had risen from 72.5% to 88.9% of Mississippi's high schoolers are now graduating from high school. What that means in the real world is there are 4,000 Mississippians who are graduating high school every year that 10 years ago would not have. What that means over a 10-year period is 40,000 Mississippians with a high school diploma that 10 years ago would not have. That's 1.33% of our entire population. That's 40,000 Mississippians that have a totally different outlook on life. They have a totally different set of opportunities because they stayed in school. And their earning potential is so much greater. I'm proud of the work that's going on in our classroom, and I think it is a clear indicator that conservative policies work. And as a conservative, I will tell you that we believe in rewarding success. 4 years ago, I stood up here and told you that my plan was to raise teacher pay by at least $4,300 per year for every teacher, which would have gotten us to the Southeastern average. We've surpassed that. We have passed the largest teacher pay raise in the history of Mississippi, $6,100 more per year for every single teacher, and now our starting salaries are at or above the Southeastern and the national average for our teachers because they deserve it because of the results. Look, if you feel the need to clap, it's perfectly fine with me. I will tell you that we're not just investing in the classroom, we're also investing in infrastructure. We made important investments over the last 4 years because we know that improving our infrastructure doesn't just improve the quality of life, it strengthens our pitch for more job creation, more capital investment, and more economic development. That's why when working with our friends in the legislature earlier this year, we delivered a historic package on infrastructure. Altogether, over $2 billion invested and allocated to the Department of Transportation. The $1.4 billion in programmatic dollars was the largest in the history of the state. It was earmark free, and it will ensure that the flexibility needed to direct investments into the most important transportation and construction projects all across Mississippi. But in addition to that, $450 million was invested for capacity projects around Mississippi. $100 million additional dollars for emergency road and bridge repair, and $30 million additional dollars for port and airport and rail investments. Long story short, the major investments into our roads, bridges, airports, and other critical infrastructure will help further ignite even more capital expenditures in the great state of Mississippi and lead to even more job creation. When I first became governor, I made it very clear that I didn't run for governor to try to hide our problems, but to try to fix our problems. And I meant it. And one of those is healthcare. Our nation is struggling, particularly in rural areas, with healthcare. And I want everyone to know that I am committed to addressing the problem. It's the reason that virtually every single major hospital leader across the state, including the University of Mississippi Medical Center, stood behind me several weeks ago when we announced a plan to provide $673 million every year in addition to our hospitals. It's going to give us time to recognize, to shore up their finances. It's a far better plan than expanding welfare, and I will tell you, it's a plan that will work for the people of Mississippi. In addition to that, we've also worked with the legislature, and I signed the Mississippi Hospital Sustainability Grant Program to provide an additional $103 million. We've expanded training opportunities for healthcare professionals, and we've established a student loan repayment plan for our nurses. We've increased the number of residency programs both inside the city of Jackson and in rural areas of our state, and it's going to make a huge difference for our future. I'm proud of the work that we've done. I know we have more work to do, and I look forward to working with every single one of you to address the challenges that come up in the years to come. Well, since we're 12 days from an election, I feel obligated that I should at least address the fact that on Tuesday, November the 7th, we're going to have the opportunity to go to the polls, and we're going to make a choice. There is no doubt that the billionaires in California, New York, and Washington, D.C. have made their choice. Millions and millions and millions of dollars have flown into our state. Over 80% of my opponent's money has come from out of state. Over 80% of my opponent's money has come from the national liberals. The question I have to leave you with is, what do they think they're buying? I can tell you they hadn't given him $8 million because it's charity. They want to flip Mississippi blue. They don't just want to change governors, they want to change Mississippi. And the reason they want to change it is because if you believe in far left policies, if you're a radical liberal, a thriving Mississippi does not work for you. As long as it is also a God-fearing, truth-believing Mississippi. The fact is, when Joe Biden tried to force the transgender agenda on our schools, we blocked him in our state. When Joe Biden neglected the border, I sent in our National Guard. Joe Biden said, Mississippi has a bunch of Neanderthals. I'll be honest with you. If record low unemployment, if more people working than ever before, if the best educational achievement level in our history means that we're a bunch of Neanderthals, then so be it. I'm fine being labeled that by Joe Biden. The fact is, my opponent is all in on the national liberal agenda. He made it very clear he was a strong supporter of Hillary Clinton. He made it very clear in 2020 that he was a strong supporter of Joe Biden. He made it very clear that he supported Barack Obama and every other liberal that is embarrassing America across this nation and across this globe every single day. We have a choice to make, and it's an easy choice. Are we going to keep up our Mississippi momentum? Are we going to continue the progress that we've made working together, won by everybody in this room, and by our teachers and our parents and our students in the classrooms? Or are we going to hand the state over to the Biden administration and let their guy take the keys? In my view, I know what direction I want Mississippi to go. And if you're with me, I humbly ask for your vote. And I humbly ask for you to encourage not only yourself and your family, but your friends and the people you go to church with. All elections are determined by the people who vote. At the end of the day, everybody can have an opinion, but if you don't vote, if you don't exercise your right to vote, your opinion doesn't count in the election. So together, let's continue to work to see more economic growth, more jobs created, and more educational successes. Let's see more and better roads and bridges, and let's work together so that we see Mississippi continuing to rise up the charts and Mississippi continuing to win on the economic development front. It's been the honor of my professional life to serve as the 65th governor of Mississippi, and I humbly ask for your vote on November the 7th. Thank you all, and God bless.